Hey guys, I'm Sarah Lavonne and welcome back to Coffee and Questions. Coffee and Questions is my monthly series where I answer your questions from previous YouTube videos and then from Instagram. All of the questions that I'm answering today, you can find in the description box down below, so you can check that out. And then while you're down there, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it. Let me know your future questions in the comment box down below, and then let's get to it. I'm gonna go over to Instagram and answer your questions from over there first. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, make sure you go over there and follow me at Bundle Birth. And I am answering your questions. I'm doing lives. I have lots more information over there. And then every time I prep for Coffee and Questions, I throw out a poll. So it's another way for you to get your question answered. So if we look at these questions, I have them all saved over here. That Deanna Marie says, I have a tilted uterus, heavy on the right. Any concerns for vaginal delivery or tips? So what is a tilted uterus, first and foremost? Normally your uterus is gonna sit in your abdomen. First of all, it starts out this big and then it's gonna grow clearly up into your ribs, fill up your belly and be in general kind of centered, right? Like you don't normally see uteruses off to the side. And so when your uterus is not pregnant, sometimes the uterus can be considered tipped, either retroverted or anteverted. And what that means is it's just a little bit like hanging out to one side. Like this woman, she says they're to the right. No big deal. It means nothing for your delivery usually. Sometimes you're at a tiny bit higher chance of miscarriage in the first trimester, but even then I wouldn't stress about it because what happens is when the uterus grows, even if it's tipped, it like grows into alignment. So it really doesn't mean much. No stress. I love this one. Okay, breastfeeding question. This comes from Elena Make Music. She says, when should you give first feeding after baby is born? This one, guys, I hear all the time at births. When baby comes out and they're skin to skin, parents get so stressed that they need to feed them like right away. They're like, should I feed them? And the baby's chilling like, what just happened to me? That was a lot. So we need to let the baby get used to the outside world. The first step to successful breastfeeding is skin to skin. So as long as they are skin to skin, that helps with their stress response. They're like, oh, okay, hold on. Even if you don't plan to breastfeed, still do skin to skin because they just went through a lot. It was a huge transition to go from quiet, dark inside world to what the heck just happened here. This is a lot of new things. You put them skin to skin, they're nice and comfortable. And then in their brain, they have to be ready to eat. And if they're not ready, you try to force the baby on the breast and the baby isn't ready, then you start thinking, oh, I don't have enough milk, my baby doesn't want my breast, my baby doesn't know what to do, when none of that is true at all. And so I don't have like a time frame necessarily, I'm gonna give you a range for when the baby should first eat, but what you're doing is you're looking for feeding cues. That is a video that will be coming, in fact, hopefully with my nephew that's coming in May. So stay tuned on that one, so long as my sister's cool with it. We're gonna talk feeding cues, and actually I'm gonna show you signs that the baby is ready to eat. But what you're waiting for is for them to be really alert, and then they'll start like, and they may bob towards the breast, and you will know, you're like, oh, well clearly like they're like going towards the breast. Guess what? Common sense says that they're probably ready to eat at that point. Now that usually happens sometimes within minutes of birth, very rarely though within minutes of birth, more towards the 1 to 2 hour mark of skin to skin. And that's why that golden hour, it's actually on my birth preferences list that you can request the golden hour, which is this protected time, which now with the coronavirus situation going on, like there's probably not gonna be a lot of extra visitors in the room, but for you and your partner to have the first hour of just skin to skin, it's uninterrupted, they're not taking the baby away, that's better for the baby's stress response, and then that allows them to go through all those steps in their brain to be ready to eat, and when they're ready, you'll start seeing those signs, sucking on their hand, lunging towards the breast, maybe stepping on you, and then you can feed your baby. But if you try to force that baby on, they're gonna lay there like, and then it's like, well, my baby doesn't want my breast, and that's just not true. Just give it a second, and even sometimes I'll try with clients, put the baby there, and if baby's like, I'm chilling, then I put them back skin to skin in the middle, we wait a little bit, and say 5-10 minutes later, sometimes they're ready, okay? 1 to 2 hours. If you don't have gestational diabetes, you have up to 5 hours before the baby really truly needs to eat for their blood sugar purposes. I don't know why I did this because it's true. It's their blood sugar purposes to regulate their sugar so that they don't become hypoglycemic. Like if we don't eat for a while, we get a little shaky. We don't want that to happen in baby, okay? So you have up to 5 hours, usually with between 1 and 2 hours. Cat Dog 524 says, can going past your due date reduce your VBAC success rate? The answer to this is yes. If we're talking statistics, there is a lower likelihood of a successful VBAC, meaning having a vaginal birth after you've had a cesarean, if you go past your due date. Now, is it still possible? Of course. The goal would be actually you have a higher chance of success if you go into labor on your own versus you're induced, and some providers won't even induce a VBAC. You can learn all of that in my VBAC class though, because I do weigh the risks of induction with VBAC. It is possible, but you have to have a provider that does it. Yes, but at the same time, you want to not be induced. You want to go into labor on your own, so you can weigh that one out on your own. Once again, the answer is yes. This goes back to nurse gifts, which was one of my very first coffee and questions like over a year ago. Pretty Lilty says, is it appropriate to give my L&D staff a coffee carafe or a small appreciation gift at this time? 100% it is. So just know when you're thinking about labor and delivery nurse gifts, right now, especially with the coronavirus stuff going on, so if you're watching this later, even in the future, food we have said has been fine if it's prepackaged, but anything that's been opened before, you probably want to avoid, especially given the pandemic. They may not even be able to receive it. What I keep telling people is gift cards, that like a Starbucks gift card, if you're thinking coffee, or a Target gift card, or something that they can use in the future or to help supply them with their everyday needs is a huge blessing during this time. I just got in a conversation with a client recently where they were like, do I have to get nurse gifts? The answer is no, you do not have to get nurse gifts. And in fact, on Instagram, I got on a rant recently about where somebody said that like you'll get better care from nurses if you bring them gifts. So you're kind of bribing your nurses to give you better care. That's not okay, okay? Your nurses should, and I'm gonna venture to say do, give you the same care whether you bring them something or not, okay? It's not like going to a restaurant where if you tip them ahead of time, then you get better care throughout. That's not how this is. Nursing care is standard. No one's expecting to get anything. Anything on top of that would be an extra blessing, but especially in this time, guys, they are risking potentially their lives, their families, their time with their families, and all of that in being in the hospital for you. And so a little pick-me-up is huge, especially when if they're wearing protective gear, they're literally not peeing hardly, they're not drinking water, they're barely eating on shifts. That's 12 hours on your feet, slaving and sweating for you, okay? The other kind of thing that came up in this conversation was that like you go to a restaurant and you tip 25% if you're a good tipper, 20% on your bill for somebody to bring a plate of food to you and set it on your table, right? And listen to your order and attend to you in that way. These nurses are going way out of their way to make sure that you are safe and you are healthy and you are taken care of. And if you feel like they've given excellent care, to me, I feel like it's cultural, but I'm like, reward them, you know, whether that's a thank you card or like a genuine, like, let me hold your hand and be like, this is what you meant to me. That means the world when you are just giving of yourself constantly. Okay. So long story short, not very short. Yes, of course it's appropriate. I would go for gift cards or things that are prepackaged, but absolutely spoil them, especially during this time. They definitely need the pick-me-up. The Chinchilla Warrior says, should I keep taking my prenatal vitamin while breastfeeding my baby? And the answer to this is absolutely yes, especially if you have leftover prenatal vitamins. Don't let them go to use. They will still fuel your body. They're still gonna give you extra nutrients and you're still gonna have the benefit from them. Now, could you keep taking them through the whole lifetime of breastfeeding, like still order them? I recommend yes, because they have specific vitamins and nutrients to fuel your baby as well that helps with that. But you also could move to a women's multivitamin even after that. Just pay attention to whatever you put in your body or any kind of changes you make with your diet or your supplements, that if your milk supply changes, that might be the cause of it. So you just want to pay attention, but absolutely keep taking your prenatals. Jason Wood, we have a dad here, which I love. He says, first-time father, how much paternity leave should I take? Actually, I had another one of you that asked that same question in this Coffee and Questions poll on Instagram. So this is such a good question. This is very much an individualized response. It depends on a few things. First of all, how much does your job offer? And if they are offering you, the average is probably 2 weeks, and then you get the FMLA, like the extended leave that you can use within the first year of life. Again, it depends on what your priorities are and whether she's going back to work, how her recovery is. I usually recommend at least 2 weeks that you are home. And honestly, if you can swing a month, you're gonna be so grateful that you did it, especially during this pandemic when you're not really having as many helpers in your home. You have less access to support. I would encourage you to take as much as you can, because that new transition for the two of you, she's gonna need your help. She's going through a whole emotional change in her. You're going through a whole emotional change in you. The baby's coming into your life and figuring out how the heck to live and survive and what it looks like to be a part of this life that you guys have. And so with all of that change, it's just better to have the extra hands. Plus, this is such sweet time in the lifeline of your baby that you're never gonna get to recover. When they're this little and this snuggly, that they're gonna become more and more independent. They're gonna have less, I'm gonna say they're not have less needs, but they're still gonna be very needy. But in general, like, you're up all the time, she's learning breastfeeding, you're not sleeping as much in that first month, and there's that huge learning curve. So to have the extra support, have the extra hands is gonna be really supportive to her. It's also gonna help with bonding for you. So my quick answer is about 4 weeks if you can swing it, minimum 2, take what you can, and then also think about your lifestyle of what works for you. Ooh. Biani says, is it safe to wax entirely during pregnancy? The answer is yes. If you want to wax, God bless you. I wish you the best and good luck. Waxing is like my least favorite thing. It hurts like the dickens, but if you want to wax down there or anywhere else, feel free, no problem. Just make sure that you do it 24 hours before if you have like a scheduled induction or a scheduled C-section. 24 hours if it works out that you go into labor like right after you're waxed or cause you're waxed, because it's so stressful. I hate being waxed. Then like, of course, like whatever, flex and flow, but try to plan it in so you're at least 24 hours post-wax before you have anything happen with your labor. Not that you have control of that, or C-section or induction. 2020 Sapling says, what's the best place to take the baby's temperature? So here's a plug for my new class, because I did just release a new class that is infant safety and CPR. So it's kind of a hybrid of a newborn care class and then an infant CPR. Now, you're not getting the skills demonstration. So if you still have access to take an infant CPR class and practice on a doll where you can actually like get your skills looked at and stuff, please do that. But given the pandemic where we don't really have access to classes anymore, I have flexed and flowed for you and released a new class on my website that is infant safety CPR, how to keep your baby safe during this time, during their life. One of those skills that I teach you is how to use a thermometer and what's the best thermometer and why certain ones work or don't. Quick answer to this question is the best way to take your baby's temperature is with a digital thermometer. So just literally, it's in the car. So this would be what is a digital thermometer. It doesn't have to be this brand, don't care. You can take them from your hospital because they will use these in the hospital and then they just toss them. So make sure you bring this home with you. You don't necessarily need to buy one. There's lots of there's the forehead one, the ear one, whatever. Best one, just a basic digital thermometer. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna take this, turn it on, and then you're gonna put it in their armpit, not in their mouth. We're not putting anything in a newborn's mouth. The other ones are not as accurate, and so you're gonna put it under their arm, and I always say go upwards. I have to turn it off or it's gonna beep. And go upwards under their arm so you're for sure enclosing the arm around it, and then you wait for it to beep. So that is gonna be the best way to take your newborn's temperature. Now, if that's high, then we might do a rectal. I talk about that in my class, but in general, this is a good rule of thumb. 100 and above is considered a temperature for a newborn. Some criteria, depending on who you talk to, would be like 99.6 or 100.4. In the hospital, we go 100.4, but if you look at AAP, I believe it is at 100, which is the equivalent of 38 degrees Celsius. That's considered a fever. Call your pediatrician. Oh, another really good one by the same person. She has so many questions here. All right, 2020 Sapling, you're doing a great job. All right, what kind of bra should I wear during delivery? Nursing bra, no bra, other bra? Whatever bra you want is my answer. Now, mind you, if you want to go braless, I definitely recommend, if you're cool being braless, go braless, because depending on how fast your labor goes, then you're ready for skin to skin. You can just whoop and be there. And you're not dealing with like bra that's tight and going da 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 da, and you have to cut it off. Like it ends up being a whole thing. Now, also, if you want an epidural, you may labor and be like, I need an epidural, and it happened pretty quickly. And then you have to weave it through your IV and whatever. Just go braless, okay? If you don't want to go braless and you don't feel comfortable feeling that way, my recommendation for you is a front zip sports bra. And the reason for that is you can, first of all, you can undo it if needed. They can work around it for your epidural. But then even if you were to deliver quickly, baby comes out and goes up skin to skin. And instead of being like, and trying to like up here and cutting off circulation and being this whole hot mess, you just done, open, ready for skin to skin, ready for breastfeeding, okay? That one I hear all the time because that I talk about with my birth coaching clients and my personal clients that I'm with in person or virtually. And always the staff is like, oh my gosh, that was genius. Oh my gosh, that was genius. And I hear it all the time. You'll be ahead of the game. All right, we're gonna go over to YouTube and get to your comments from over at YouTube. This question, she just snuck in. So Catherine Lowen, this comes from How to Increase Your Milk Supply, which was one of my newest videos. She says, thank you for another great video. I have a question. I'm 35 weeks pregnant and I have been having menstrual cramps for 3 days straight. Poor thing. They are constant and are in my back as well. They won't let up. Are they just Braxton Hicks or are they something else? I've been drinking so much water and taking Tylenol and nothing is working. I went to labor and delivery and I wasn't in labor. Everything looked good, okay? So this is actually a really solid question, especially for this time frame, because you guys are gonna want to avoid the hospital. If you don't know how to avoid the hospital, I have videos coming. I also have a coronavirus and your birth class on my website that is a live webinar. If you wanna check that out, I have that also to help you to know how to labor at home and stay home and know what the difference is. Now, first of all, she's 35 weeks, so it would be uncommon for her to go into labor right now. Could it happen? Of course. It's still considered preterm labor, so we don't want it to happen. The rule of thumb before 37 weeks is if you are having 6 contractions or more in an hour, then you call your doctor, okay? Or if they are so intense that you are huffing and puffing and oh my gosh, and they've been happening and they've gotten more frequent like labor, you need to go in, okay? But some things I hear here that are trigger words for me. First of all, that it's 3 days straight and they are constant. Any kind of constant pain is probably not contractions. Now, they feel like menstrual cramps, so that's where I'm like, it could be contractions, and better safe than sorry. I think she did the right thing, but also knowing she's not in labor, it makes more sense to me that this is not labor because it's constant for 3 days straight. Now, you take water. She did the right thing. You drank a bunch of water because if you're dehydrated, you might have some cramping. She took a Tylenol, didn't work. What's probably happening here is some sort of baby's coming down and pressing on something and causing that constant pain somewhere in your pelvis. And so that's where motion is lotion. I just got off a birth coaching call with somebody and we talked all about that, of getting up and getting moving, getting your hips going in big circles on a ball, scooping front and back, going to my How to Engage the Baby video and doing some of those exercises, getting in an upside down kind of inversion to relieve some pressure on your lower uterine segment or your pelvis is going to probably help with that constant pain. At the same time, it could be Braxton Hicks. And remember, Braxton Hicks contractions are just contractions that don't cause your cervix to change. So when she says she went in and it wasn't labor, you could be having as many contractions as could be, but if it is not thinning out your cervix and dilating your cervix, then technically you're not in labor and those are just Braxton Hicks. They're warm-up contractions. At 35 weeks, that's super common. So you're doing all the right things. Do some heat, change your position, get up and moving, take a bath, those kind of things. And normally they're gonna likely slow down. You may have them off and on as your body gets ready. You also know that that is your baseline, that right now, everything you felt up until that point is not labor. So going forward, if you feel the same thing, you can rest assured it's not labor. What you're waiting for is a shift, is an intensity, is a frequency change. And that's when it's going to be more of a clue to you that it might actually be labor. Oh, this goes along the same lines. This is so good. Okay. Angelica Hart says, what's it called when you cannot feel your contractions? I did not feel contractions with my first baby. I did not feel any pressure, cramps, or tightness. I just felt like something was wrong. We were 37 weeks. This woman is so lucky. Okay, this is rare, guys, but it does happen. We are planning to have another baby. What would we be thinking as far as steps to take? I'm thinking I would have to get induced, but what about preterm labor? Could I go to full term? So, okay, couple of sides of things. The one actually why this question triggered me was because I hear all the time, you'll go to your doctor's appointment or your midwife's appointment at the end of your pregnancy and they'll put you on the monitor, or you'll be in labor or being induced and they'll see contractions on the monitor and be like, oh yeah, you're having contractions. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't feel them, which is great. Eventually, for the major majority, can I say that, of people, you will eventually feel something. So if you're not feeling something, they are probably Braxton Hicks. If you feel your belly get tight every so often, that would register as a contraction on the fetal monitor. And so we're not stressed about it. If you're having contractions and you don't feel them, in general, other than for Angelica, which I'll talk to in just a second, that's not a big deal, okay? We're gonna relax about it. We're gonna breathe deeply and wait for the contractions to increase in frequency and intensity. Now, for Angelica, she is a very unique case, okay? So this is also why when you're looking at research, when you're reading about different birth stories, when you're trying to learn and prepare yourself for your birth, you wanna be going to sources that are speaking to the masses rather than the one-offs. And so this is also why I love addressing this question, Angelica, and I'm so glad you put it, because this is the one-off. This is not the norm, but this is a possibility. And if you are one of those people that does not feel contractions, then God bless you and hallelujah. Now, you also knew. And so for the person that doesn't feel contractions or maybe doesn't have pain manifested in the same way, then this is where I'd go back to trusting your instincts, that you would go off of a pressure, because my guess is probably you would feel that there's a baby's head this size in your vagina when you're not used to that, right? That like you'd be like, oh, I'm feeling something down there, right? And so pay attention to the pressure sensations. You can feel your belly, and probably you were having contractions. Maybe you didn't feel them the same way, but how you know that you're having contractions is by the firmness of your belly. So I want you all to feel your bellies right now and feel how smushy they are. I can feel how smushy my belly is, okay? I'm not having a contraction. I don't have abs like that, all right? Now, feel the wall or feel the floor or feel your forehead. Your forehead's a good test. Your belly, when you have a contraction, eventually when they're strong, will feel kind of like your forehead, like you feel the skin and then underneath it's firm. That's a contraction. And so for those of you that maybe don't feel it, you can always palpate or feel your belly and say, something's going on. I feel off. I feel kind of nauseous. Wow, I'm feeling some rectal pressure or some vaginal pressure. I feel like there's something going on, and those can be your clues that maybe things are brewing. But back to where you're getting your information, that when you read the blogs or you watch the vlogs or you even listen to certain childbirth classes, that you want to make sure that the person that you're learning from or the source that you're learning from is somebody that can speak generally and that is trained to do so, like a medical professional that can speak to that. Because if I've seen 10 births, those 10 births do not represent what birth actually looks like on a grand scale of things, okay? I've been a part of over 5,000 births, right? And so when I speak to you, it's like I'm speaking to the general population, of course, with all my stories and my one-offs, given the fact that we know that labor is flexible, we go with the flow, it's not always the same, that's what I love about it, right? But we're gonna hold loosely to those stories rather than be like, oh, what if I don't feel contractions and I'm so stressed that the baby's just gonna fall out and I'm not gonna have any pain? Please write me, please comment below if you are that person, and we will find the like 15 people that that's true of, and then the other 50,000 people that watch this, and that is not true of, okay? That's the one-off. We'll let go of the one-offs, hope for the one-off, especially when it comes to pain, but otherwise we're gonna let that one go. This question comes from Sammy Herbick, and from How to Increase My Milk Supply. She says, does caffeine affect my milk supply? So the answer with milk supply questions is that yes, it can, but not for everybody. And so if maybe you didn't have caffeine in pregnancy and now you've reintroduced caffeine, or you realize that like me, you're drinking a lot of coffee and caffeine these days, then maybe cut back. And what you're doing is you're playing that game of how does my body respond as far as milk volume goes when I try different things. And that's also why, like, even with supplementation and trying some of the galactagogues, Lordy bless me, I can't say that word, that when you try one of those foods that you say, I'm gonna try oatmeal today for the next 3 days and see what happens with my milk, rather than do all the things all in one and you're you're like, well, it works, but I don't know which one. And then you can identify like exactly what was helping or maybe harming your breast milk supply. Okay. So in general, I would say that I wouldn't look at caffeine and go, yeah, that's going to decrease your milk, but it may for you and your specific body. This is so real, and I'm actually gonna read the whole thing because I just think it is very relatable to a lot of you breastfeeding mamas, okay? So this also comes from the How to Increase Your Milk Supply. Annabelle Miller says, he is 3 weeks now, but his due date was yesterday, and he's now just at 6 pounds. He chews instead of sucking. I have an overactive letdown and he has reflux. He is constantly throwing up. I'm stressed for sure. He was 37 weeks and he is sleeping a lot, so I am missing a lot of feedings. I really want to exclusively breastfeed, but should it be this hard? Do I need to wake him up to feed him? I'm currently supplementing per doctor recommendation to help him gain weight. I feel so absolutely helpless. Okay, so this is a lactation consultant visit, okay? So I wanna just recognize, Annabelle, that you are not alone in your feelings, and how many of you mamas, go find this comment or comment down below that yes, breastfeeding is hard. Breastfeeding, like it's almost like no one prepares you for how hard it is. So I'm warning you mamas right now, breastfeeding is hard. It is a huge learning curve. There's so much that goes into it, yet at the same time, it's like completely natural. So if you haven't taken a breastfeeding class, please take a breastfeeding class. I will link my favorite breastfeeding class people. They're called Goldilocks down below. I know they just came out with an online breastfeeding class, and I might even be able to get you a promo code for that. So check the description box down below, because it is important to prep for not only the birth, but also the postpartum. And a huge piece of postpartum, if you plan to breastfeed, is prepping for the breastfeeding journey. Now, for you, Annabelle, first of all, I wanna say, take a big deep breath and give yourself so much grace. You are doing the best you can with the knowledge and resources and time and supply and situation that you've been presented with, okay? Second part is, call a lactation consultant, okay? Because it sounds like I literally could address reflux, overactive letdown, chewing instead of sucking, being stressed, the 37-week born baby that's now currently 6 pounds, supplementing, and then the emotional side of should it be this hard. All of those different things would be entire new videos, okay? So I want you to make sure you get the care that you need to specifically address your breastfeeding needs, and that goes for all of you mamas. This is why lactation support is so helpful. I know those same breastfeeding people, they do online virtual sessions as well. They're amazing. So again, I will link them down below. But what I would say is, she says, I really want to breastfeed exclusively, but should it be this hard? Yeah. I mean, not should it be, but is breastfeeding hard? Yes. And I want to validate that this is somewhat normal. We don't want this to be the norm, and this is where support and education comes in, and getting over the humps. But breastfeeding changes, and that initial month is that first, give it a full month, guys, that it will be a learning curve. It may be really hard for you. It is a change. You're dealing with milk supply issues and all the things she talks about, plus more. It's okay. You're gonna get there. Stick with it, okay? One day at a time. If you need support groups on this, guys, La Leche League, whom I'll also link down below, is an amazing resource to you. They have online support groups and regular support groups from all over the world. I know my mom says all the time, she's like, La Leche League, for her in Minnesota, back in the day when she exclusively breastfed me and my sister for over a year, that was the only reason why she made it that long, because she had the people she could call and cry to and be like, I can't do another day. I'm done. I can't. And it was like, all right, let's go one more day. And sure enough, she made it to a year, okay? And eventually, hear me now, breastfeeding feels like the hardest thing you ever do until one day it's like riding a bike, where it all of a sudden becomes the easiest possible thing you could do, okay? Stick with it, get the support, give yourself so much grace. Yes, you probably need to wake him up if it's going more than 4 hours for a newborn that is on the smaller side, that's learning his suck and has maybe a little bit of is a little behind on the developmental oral motor stuff I talk about in the previous video. You probably do need to wake him up and at least be like, hey, it's time to go every 4 hours. But yes, it's somewhat normal for this to be that hard, but it's gonna be okay and you're gonna get there. Thank you guys so much for being with me here today, and thank you for continuing to engage and come back. And even those of you who've had your babies and you're still sticking around, I see you, I appreciate you, and I am working towards more and more postpartum topics to be able to continue to work with you and serve you and communicate and interact. If you haven't already, go ahead and go over to my website, check out all the extra stuff I have going on over there. We just added support groups for you during this time of coronavirus. So if it's still coronavirus when you're watching this, we got services for you. I have 2 new classes. They're live classes so we can actually interact. I have online classes. There's lots of stuff over there, so make sure you go over there. Make sure you subscribe down below. If you have any other comments, questions, concerns, throw them in the comment box down below. Again, everything, all the links, all the resources and everything will be in the description box. And then until next time, don't forget to flex and flow, and I will see you soon. Bye. The first step to success, excuse me, you can move on to a prenatal rein it in. I have no idea what I'm answering today, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm very popular. All right, hold on, let me turn that off. Rectal is like, wow. It's like stab them in the vagina. I did, it was like, rah. Okay. I guess so, it doesn't have a penis. Let me just scan these, scam them. I don't wanna scam them. I'm gonna skim them and then go to YouTube. I wish I had the, this dumb, really dumb. We have a man, love me a man. I mean, I do, but that's not what I meant. Okay, hold on. Okay, now I'm embarrassed. I mean, I do love me a man. Okay.